Hey, sports fans, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. I just wanted to do a little recap of Michigan's recruiting class. Today was kind of the beginning of the official end, if you will. This is now the last signing period. They have the early signing period in mid-December, and now what used to be like the big Christmas day for college football fans is late signing day, and you don't get nearly as many because recruits, rightly so, just like make their selections. They sign early so they don't have to deal with the pressure anymore, all the recruiting people. And so February is more of just what didn't happen, what did happen today. So, positive news for Michigan, obviously. If you're a Michigan fan, you probably saw it. A few things. Rashyaun Benny, defensive tackle, he flipped from Michigan State to Michigan. That was a big thing. He was, a 4-star, for whatever that's worth. Big guy, defensive tackle, especially a position of need for Michigan. You watched how they were shredded up the middle so often in the run game this past season. They also flipped another defensive tackle out of Texas. I will not even attempt to say his name. Ike is what I'm seeing people talk about him online and such. Ike. And if you want to look it up, just look it up on Rivals, and you can see his name. It's going to be an interesting one. I have not heard anyone say that name yet, so I'm not even going to try to say it because I mess up people's names all the time. Anyways, I'm going to call him Ike. He's more of a project. He seems to have tremendous upside, and it sounds like he had some serious interest from Texas, which is kind of nice. And he was kind of hurt, too, by Texas not having a fall football season. It's just, of course, what I read. But the video I've seen, I think always Magnus puts out really good videos and such, clips that I see. He had some good promise. He's got good potential. He just got to work on it. He might be a project guy where he, sits and practices and gets strong for like 2 years. But you know what? Down the road, if you have your junior all of a sudden can come in and be productive, that's great. So, that was signing day for today. Oh, and also Rooks, another defensive end, signed on. I think he's going to play defensive end. He might be a defensive tackle, but I think defensive tackle it was. But he signed on. He gave his verbal a couple weeks back, but he officially signed too. So Michigan's class wrapped up officially for this year, I think, at 23 recruits. And that begs the question, are they going to add more? Some of the people that I think they might want to add would be Lance Dixon out of Penn State. He's in the portal. Another one I saw is another defensive tackle, Dillo out of Central Michigan. Some guy that could come in and play and help right away, kind of like how they did with Mike Dana out of Central Michigan, I think it was too, just a couple years ago. He's now on the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I think Michigan's going to have to add some defensive help on this defensive side, out through the portal, I should say. And, I don't know if they're going to really look for secondary help now that they have the new defensive coaches. I wonder if they, kind of get their eyes on tape, see what they think they might be able to do with some of those players. I could see them kind of staying pat with their secondary, but I could also see them adding a veteran player that, it's going to be hard to say no if you have some really talented guys in the portal. One thing I'm certain I'm kind of leaning towards the way is that Michigan will not be going after any of the Tennessee portal people, like Tooch. I'm saying his name wrong, but they're two linebackers who are in the portal, and Michigan recruited them a little bit. They didn't come. Like, would Michigan go after them again? I think they're just players that you just kind of want to stay away from because you have all the allegations. Again, see what Michigan does. Thinking about it, I bet bigger programs won't have a problem. For example, Eric Gray, guy who was a Michigan commit, then went to Tennessee at the end. He went already to Oklahoma. So, Oklahoma doesn't have any problem signing up some of these people, which are no doubt tied in with illegal money and such. So, I guess you can look at it that way. Maybe Michigan will just take the step in that way and, start going after some of these recruits that, maybe aren't totally clean. And, I don't know, see how that goes. So, looking at the team overall in the Rivals ranking, I just look at Rivals. So, if you look into someone else, you might have different numbers. Michigan ended up with the number 9 recruiting class. And after a 2-4 year where the season was dreadful. There's no other way to say it, dreadful. And you lost to a terrible Michigan State team, which is just almost unfathomable to me that Michigan lost to that team. First-year head coach on a team that had no It was severely limited by talent, and Michigan lost to them. It's just so frustrating to that point. But Michigan somehow pulled out a top 10 class. Rivals had them at number 9. It's crazy. You look at the offensive side of the field, and man, Michigan put together a great class. You got the 5-star quarterback. You got a 5-star running back in Edwards. You have Dixon. You have Worthy. Johnson out of East Lansing, a guy that Michigan plucked out of Michigan State's grasp again. It's nice to see Michigan getting the players that they seem to want to come to Michigan versus them going to Michigan State. But they did that with Benny flipped today and with Johnson, or Anthony, I think. Yeah, Anthony, I wrote that. It's great that they can pull them from East Lansing. Now, so I think the offense is going to be great. Now the question is, can Gaddis and Moore, now going to be the co-offensive coordinator, can they figure it out and get the offense clicking? That's the big question now. You have all these coaches, you have new coaches, you have new positions, and so it's like, what can they get done? That's the big question. Hopefully Michigan will be able to get out of this pause that they're in, and I would love to see Michigan basketball back again. Yeah, I know I haven't seen you guys in a while because Michigan basketball has been shut down, so I haven't really done any videos. But one thing crossed my mind. If Michigan football could be the 9th best team in the country, ranking-wise, the rivals ranking, right, the team ranking, how much of that is just because of their name? I saw a great tweet, sorry I don't remember the name, who said USC should be able to have a top 10 team every year, which they did this year. But last year they were in the 50 range. Just a terrible class. Imagine if Michigan was in the 50s. I mean, USC's in California, like a hotbed of talent. So the person was saying USC should always be a top 10 class. What about Michigan? Even though they're 2-4, Michigan still got a top 10 class. I mean, most years Michigan's in like the 8 to 14 range, 8 to 12 range. Is that just because of the Block M? Is that just because they're Michigan? People want to go and play for Michigan. Is that just it? I mean, does it really matter who the coach per se is? I think you can say it really doesn't. I think you could say that you have your powerhouse teams. Say you're Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Oregon, USC, whatever. The powers, that's Notre Dame would be another good one. That they're all going to be like in about a top 10 team, and the part that makes the difference is success on the field. I think you can have them all in the top 10, and then, well, Ohio State goes to the playoff. They win the Big Ten. They bump up. Alabama, playoff. National champion, they bump up. Clemson, playoff. National champ, they bump up. I think there's something to, like, if you're just a powerhouse team in the past, you're living off your brand, like Michigan is, that you might just be able to get a really good class just because of who you are, not necessarily your success. And you can kind of see that. Michigan's had okay years, but they're not beating Ohio State. They're kind of playing 500 with Michigan State. Their odds and evens with Penn State and Wisconsin, they get blown out or they blow them out basically every other year. But obviously this year wasn't terrible, so you can't take anything from this year, I suppose. It's interesting that the year was so bad and Michigan still got a top 10 class. So maybe that's just because of the brand. Maybe it's because of the coaches. I mean, obviously you could see Benny flipped, Ike flipped, Rooks signed on, all because you had Nua as our defensive line coach, and you have Moore as still a great coordinator of recruiting. He really helps recruit even the people he doesn't, coach. So I wonder where you guys think. Is it because of the brand? Or is it coaches, or is it winning? I know it's a combination of all three, but what do you think is the most important? So, just let me know what you think. What are your overall thoughts about Michigan, number 9 class in the country? Ohio State's number 2. Some other ones out of the Big Ten. Wisconsin was next at 14. Nebraska, 19. 20, Maryland. 24, Iowa. Then Penn State at 26. Rutgers, 36. Michigan State, 37. Minnesota, 38. So, again, Michigan, second best class in the conference. They just got to get over the Ohio State hump, and I don't know if that's going to happen. Ohio State's just a juggernaut right now. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Statistically, they get good classes. They just have to coach them up better. Hey, I know I kind of rambled there at the end. Sorry about that. Let me know what you guys think about Michigan, the Big Ten, college football, and overall. Any thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments below. I'll try to respond as possible. Hopefully Michigan will be playing some basketball next week. We'll see. I hear rumors they might not play until February 18 instead of like next week Wednesday, which would be like, February 10, 11, 12-ish, something like that. Hopefully it's going to be earlier rather than later. But that is what it is. Thanks for watching. If you like this, please subscribe. I like those. And until I see you guys next time, go blue.